Why'd you stop as soon as I go live, man? You were crushing it. You were crushing. We've got the power.
I don't know, man.
Did you rock that song in Turkey?
Yes, bigly.
Hey everyone, TikTok time to rock. TikTok time to rock. How's everyone doing?
Oh wait, we're live?
Yep, we're live.
Oh.
We're live and crushing it. Wait, did I send out the link? I didn't even send out the link. I'm going to send out this link. We're live going through a recent study about the Gaza Ministry of Health faking some casualty statistics. All right. Send out the link. Send out the link. Now people on Twitter know where we are.
Now they know.
AP.
Yes.
What's the latest on your interview with Masab? How's that doing? I saw that it had crossed 100.
Oh yeah, it's doing pretty well. It's doing pretty well. Not very bad. Not very bad. Not very bad. Currently, it is at 117,000 views.
117,000 for the 7-hour interview with the Green Prince. Hey guys,
it's taking off. Really, it's like statistically, it's going like this.
That's what you want to see. Ooh, maybe we found your new approach, guys. Who should AP interview next? He had an awesome interview with Masab. It's blowing up. Just posted it yesterday, but it's blowing up. It's going up.
I'm thinking next would be Donald Trump, probably.
Donald Trump or the Pope.
Or the Pope, yeah.
Could ask the Pope about
one of those two. I don't know.
What about Netanyahu?
Too low tier. I need somebody more with more fame and more priority. You know.
What about Yahya Sinwar?
That sounds good. Although we did recently have a discussion on God Logic's channel, which didn't really go very well.
Yeah, I'm looking at the recommendations here. We got he should interview Candace Owens. Seen that a couple of times. Black Angel said Netanyahu.
Powerful.
Ooh, Emily says Syrian girl. That dude, you're talking instant 2 million views. If you could get Syrian girl and actually ask her some good questions.
I asked her if she would debate me sometime. The thing is, she was messaging with me in the past, and I asked her to debate me, and then she stopped responding. So.
Hey, wait, did you say earlier? So earlier, Visegrad posted about Israel bombing a Syrian weapons depot or something like this, but it caused a big explosion. And I, in a comment, I said, Syrian girl. So this is from her. Did Israel just nuke Syria? Right? So I posted that, and then a couple of minutes later, I was like, I bet she actually said something like that. So I go over to her page, and she goes, was this a tactical nuke? And I'm like, oh my goodness. She literally said what I was making fun of her, making fun of how dumb she is. And she does exactly what I made fun of her for doing.
She actually did it.
Was that a tactical nuke? Guys, Israel's not going to nuke Syria. But what's funny, when I posted, people are responding to me going, but it's such a big explosion. Maybe it was. Like, guys, nuclear bombs are different, all right? They leave all kinds of radiation and so on. Israel would be condemned a lot more than they're being condemned if they started nuking Syria. So you also have Hersi Ali. That would actually be my top pick as far as if you wanted to try setting up another interview. Ayan Hersi Ali, trying to think, because it is cool with the ex-Muslims and stuff who are, here you go, Ali Dawa. Jordan Peterson. We have Ben Shapiro. Hey, look at this.
I could totally make that happen, actually, I think.
Ben Shapiro?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some.
If I tried, I could make that happen.
And so like Wes Huff and stuff, right? You could probably do that pretty easily. There's some on here that you could that would be easy and others that would be more difficult. But if once you've done like 3 or 4, if you're like, look, this one got 1.2 million views, then all of a sudden, they're going to listen to you. And after you've done like 20 of these interviews and you're the most famous interviewer in the world, then you announce it. I'm going to be interviewing the Prophet Muhammad. We'll get vocab. That would be, because it was different when you were in the boom boom room. He's going after you. It would be funny if it was you interviewing the Prophet Muhammad.
That'd be fun.
And
That'd
asking for him to defend himself. AP interview AP. You could do that as well.
I could do that.
Let's see. Who else we have? Ooh. Oh, what is this? Tommy? Definitely Tommy. He's locked up right now. You have this. AP should interview Mike Winger. That's not a bad idea as long as it is to expose him. We got a couple of these. Mike Wiggling. We all know what you're saying with wiggling. Let's see. Yeah, you had a couple recommendations for Douglas Murray. That is good.
Douglas Murray.
Get the Pope on. Interview with the vampire. Getting several from the Pope. Ooh, here we go. Nick Fritas. At what age were you when you realized you were attracted to men? Fareed responds. Lots for Douglas Murray. Several for the Pope. Yeah, one for the Ayatollah. Ooh, this is actually messed up. Zombie Sinwar. It would be messed up if you announced that you're interviewing Yahya Sinwar, but it's a zombie. Like, that would be, that's getting dark.
I could probably do a little AI thing, AI script for that from the perspective of dead Yahya Sinwar. Joe Biden.
We could have Farfour, but make it like zombie Farfour. That would be good. Hey, Bishop Marmari. Yep.
That'd be powerful.
Oh, this would be the best one. Ready? Here we go. Ready? Who is it? Who's the best one? Who's the best one ever? Crackhead Barney.
That would be ridiculous.
Bassem Youssef. This is funny. People are, I was just, I just thought people would toss in a couple of suggestions. They want you to interview the Hawk Tua girl. Let's see. Nancy Pelosi. Sneeko would be a big one. That would be cool, actually, interviewing someone who's on some interestingly different side from you. Erdogan, Donald Trump, Ali Dawa, Einat Wolf. You've already done that. All right, guys. Assad.
I should do that again. She's fantastic.
All right. So we got some good suggestions. And AP, I think you know, some of those were joking and stuff, but I think you have several legitimately good suggestions on people and could even send out something for like 2 or 3 of them.
Do you think they were joking? I didn't see anyone that was joke.
Ask them, hey, when you gonna be near AP's new famous studio? All right, take these first couple of chats. Guys, what we're going to cover today is we mentioned it a little yesterday, but since yesterday, I actually read the Telegraph article and I got the study, the Henry Jackson Society study on the Gaza Ministry of Health doctoring, weird, because I said doctoring and they're the Ministry of Health, but they're doctoring the statistics to make things sound worse. They're like an adult dies and they'll put it down as a child. A man dies, they'll put it down as a woman. Someone just dies a natural death, they'll say it's a civilian casualty of the war and so on. But they're fudging the numbers to make things look worse than they are, which is wild because it's pretty bad. You've got a war going on. You've got plenty to talk about. The fact that you have to embellish and inflate the statistics shows something. Anyway, our buddy here, Puff Daddy, says, AP, let me also congratulate you for fantastic interview with Masab. You asked insightful questions and so brought out the best in Masab. Your set was much better than the $100,000 Who's Your Daddy set.
Thank you. Appreciate that. It was actually just it was a place that I rented somewhere that I booked. And so the entire recording was recorded by the guys who run or own the place. They also produced the video. So all I had to do was to go there, tell them what exactly I want in the background. speak, and then to wait for the footage to come in.
They didn't have any problem with you having the son of Hamas in there?
No. The funny thing is, after we were done, before we started recording, Mossab was like, "Guys, I want to say I apologize in advance because we're going to say some very controversial things."
That's funny. He's nice.
And those guys
you are going to hear me say that I choose the cow. You must not react or be upset by this, or there will be consequences.
And those guys are like, it's all right. We already looked up Apostate Prophet before he booked you, so we know what it's all about. And
they're like, oh, we know all about you, too. We know all about you. We looked you all up. That's funny.
I didn't tell them who I'm going to interview until he arrived. That's kind of fun.
Smart. What's a Who's Your Daddy set for KH? You know what that's referring to?
I do not know what that is.
We do not know what that is. D-Wood, hoping to respond to Sir 6 Sky Daddy vid. Since I have no idea who that is, probably a very slim possibility of that. Syrian Druze tribes want to live in Israel. Well, that is true. They do. Not all the Druze, but the ones, the Druze villages in southern Syria, they actually want to be annexed by Israel. They prefer living under as part of Israel than as part of a Syria that is under the control of jihadis. Recently watched your vid of Stupider. Wait, who was that again? Oh, Stupider.
Stupider.
I'd already forgot about the dude. I'm like, who are they talking about? I vaguely remember.
He's a neo-Nazi guy who was recently on the Dean Show.
Okay, yeah. So, this, and I couldn't remember what he talked about, but fortunately the comment here explains it. From 2 weeks ago about the Schofield Bible, and couldn't stop laughing at the voices you guys make because it's literally what they sound like. God bless you guys. Keep it up. We are famously good at some of the impressions we do. On the topic of lying and deception, are you guys going to watch the BB Files? By the way, AP, Hal Mossab told you, do I need to repeat myself?
That was a funny moment where he told me that it actually the guys who harassed him they were walking with him for like 45 minutes or so. I'm like, was it really 45 minutes? And he's
That's
like,
crazy.
Do I need to repeat myself?
Which part of 45 minutes was I not clear on? Do you need a cochlear implant because you're deaf?
And at one point, I was trying to chime in to add an additional question.
Let me finish.
While he was speaking, I was like, and also he's like, wait, this is important. I thought, oh no, that's the moment that I had to pee, and I peed my pants when he did that.
Oh boy. Let's see. AP, I'm considering starting a YouTube channel. What specs to look for buying a computer? You can ask AP. Guy who's been, oh boy. By the way, you really should get a clock alarm to be on time. That's good. That's a good point.
Me? I don't know what you're talking about.
I assume he's joking about asking you for specs for a computer to do live streaming with, because your computer.
No, I think he's joking about the alarm. So, hey, did you see that there is apparently U.S. Catholic bishops, the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, did published a statement or something. I haven't really looked at it, but people were talking about it. They published a statement of a disavowal of the Groper movement, and
I saw that. I asked if the Gropers are going to be excommunicated. Excommunicado.
And listed a few things that are considered reprehensible, that should not be associated with Catholicism, and so on, including some of the memes that they always go for. It's kind of funny that a Catholic organization actually makes a statement. I was waiting for this. In my opinion, it should actually be I don't know. There should be a bigger response from the Catholics. Something should come directly from the Vatican,
from the Pope himself. The Pope. Hey, Pope Frankie.
We condemn these things that are currently ongoing in the name of Catholicism, and this is not right, and there's nothing to do with us, and so on. But it's good to see that there is a conference actually doing something like this. That's pretty good.
Hey, Pope Francis, you've done a lot of stupid stuff. in
Hey,
recent years.
be respectful and careful when you talk to the
You've
Pope.
sided with a lot of the Catholics would agree with me. You've said a lot of stupid stuff, taken a lot of stupid positions over the past several years. Calls into question. Calls into question. Your entire church.
Yeah.
And the Vatican.
Powerful.
But we're announcing to you now, all will be forgiven. All you have to do is step up and say, any groper, especially Nick Fuentes, is hereby excommunicated. You will never have a Catholic nation because you are not allowed to be Catholic anymore.
Powerful, powerful.
We'll let you slide. We'll let you slide on everything, Pope. Let you slide. You will have earned. I operate on a cool point system. Someone could do something messed up, and I'm like, oh, but this person has enough cool points stored up over here that we're going to let that slide. Same thing here. You would get
do you have like a notebook where you write down everyone's cool score or something?
No. I don't actually. It's not an official score, but I'm like, this person has a lot of cool points for what he did there, and a lot of cool points for what he did there. So let him slide over there.
Huh.
Got it. I always thought that Western liberal hedonism might topple Islam, but I got insights from David and Robert Spencer. Islam is all about appearing to follow rules and not about cultivating piety or virtue.
That's what they do.
It is a problem that when things change too rapidly and start like everything that's important to people starts changing, then there is a tendency to want to cling to something that is going to provide stability. And stability, what's more stable than saying we're all going to walk and talk and live and think and dress and speak like a 7th century Arab? There's a kind of stability. It's like, that's all we're ever going to be. We're just going to be that thing. And so you will have people who are like dying for some stability saying, oh, we'll convert with Islam. Not realizing, nope, that's going to cause a lot of change too, because that will also destroy everything you care about. You just don't realize it because the Dawa guys will convince you. The Dawa guys will convince you that they're going to be the champions of everything you hold dear, and they're not. So they can be hedonists while appearing religious. That's what Islam is. You can be banging your 4 wives and trading them in regularly and having prepubescent ones and have your sex slaves and all this stuff and be practicing mutta, hiring prostitutes, living like a total hedonist. And you can even be known for fasting while you're gorging yourself with food repeatedly multiple times per day and say that you're fasting. Everything's for show. Look at me, I'm praying. Look, you're not looking at me praying? Okay, fine. I'll go pray right in the middle of the street. So you definitely see me praying. You definitely can't not see me praying. You can't not see me when I'm praying because I'm literally blocking your car from driving to work. Ha 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 in your face.
Look at me when I pray. Look at me.
Yep, powerful. Very, very religious, pious people. AP, congrats on the Masab interview. Loved it. Don't let it go to your head. Don't worry. If it starts going to AP's head, we'll start saying, that sucked. That was the worst interview I've ever seen. What kind of loser interview was that? How dare you?
I don't know who these people are who are talking to me. I am far above reacting to super chats and things like that.
We don't listen to you. You should come in with one of those folding like director chairs like this every time you walk into the studio now with have sunglasses on and like a little beret, pop your chair out and stuff and sit down and go action, and then you can start it. Be sure to thank the Lord for your opportunity and success. That's a good point.
Praise the Lord.
AP's not thankful. He has no gratitude.
That
was an interesting passage from G.K. Chesterton because he started off he was just an atheist kind of he wanted to be a heretic and stuff. He said that one of the problems that arose was he said he always felt gratitude for everything. He always felt grateful in life, and he says, but there was no one to be grateful to. There was no one to be grateful towards. And he says, at Christmas we thank Santa for gifts, or you thank this person. He's like, but who do I? Oh, he said we thank Santa for gifts in our stockings, and he goes, but who could I be thankful to for 2 feet in my stockings? So he wanted to just be thankful for everything and so on. And he said we thank people for giving out cigars at birth, and he goes, but what about being thankful for the gift of birth? And anyway, It was cool stuff. Check it out. And
Nice.
then maybe you'll have a little bit of gratitude for once in your life.
Nice.
Hey, here we go. Goat Hub says, probably missed it. It's Issa's birthday. Based. Happy birthday, Issa. I'm going to sing this little song for you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Issa. Happy birthday to you. We understand, Issa, that D Wood and AP with a little backup singing happy birthday is probably the most exciting moment of anyone's life. But that's what you get here. Sir Sick YouTube Atheist did a video criticizing D Wood. Oh, it's an atheist channel? I was wondering if it was like someone just joking or someone serious. Oh, that's funny. Sir Sick is someone popular. Bet it is very cringe. If Sir Sick is popular, how come I've never heard of him? I left a lot of comments in the comments section. That's that of the Sir Sick video. Thanks. Oh, Issa says, thanks, Goat Hub. Any more coverage on the Islamic dilemma? Yeah, Issa said he's writing something on that. We're going to be, Issa, 2025 is going to be the year of the Islamic dilemma. We're going to focus on it a bunch. Matter of fact, you can join us in our research, and we're going to go through the entire Quran, categorize every single verse that says anything about the previous scriptures, put it all together.
What in the world is this?
Catholic
this
here.
Looks like a funny channel. Sir Sick is a channel with a knight as a profile picture. It says fighting silliness, stupidity, and the S-dumbs. I am a stupid, making fun of any and all ideas that are even more dumb than I am. What is this?
That actually sounds funny, though. I might have to check that out. Okay, if you made a response to me, maybe we'll check it out. Hey, Apu Pocket said, Catholic here, I'm 100% in agreement with D. Wood. So everything. You just heard it here, folks. He's 100% in agreement with me on everything, not just on the Pope issue. So maybe he's agreeing with me that the Pope has said dumb stuff. Maybe he's agreeing with me that all should be forgiven if he excommunicates the gropers. Coffee House Dialogue says, D1 and AP, you need to comment on the Greek Patriarch of Antioch. Antioch is selling out to the Kafias. Is that true? You heard about that?
No.
That's wild. Because the Greeks, during World War II, they defended the Jews a lot. Protected them from the Germans.
The funny thing is that the Orthodox
think it's funny? I think this
have
is all
had
funny.
They have had
It's a
an
joke.
overall better relationship with Jews than the Catholics, for example, throughout the history of Jewish-Christian relations. In fact, I think it is generally thought that Orthodox Christians had a more peaceful relationship overall compared to Western Christianity with the Jews. Although there was not much of a mutual love, there was generally peace and all that. But I don't know what is happening recently.
Yeah, we'll have to check it out. Consider Samir Ghia, leader of Lebanese forces, anti-Iran, pro-Israel, was convicted of war crimes during Lebanese civil war, but one of only leaders that served time for 11 years in a dungeon. Lebanese forces convicted of war crimes during Lebanese civil war, but the others were not punished the way he was. As a person entering RCIA, come on, Pope Francis, easy win. He could do it. You could do it, Pope. AP, please try the shofar again. I know you can do it. You made the sound. It's a tiny lip roll inside the mouthpiece like a trumpet.
Happy?
Thoughts on Myth Vision slandering IP recently? Does not surprise me. I have no thoughts because I have no idea what it's about. I know IP was doing some sort of response to Myth Vision, but guys, I've already said my thoughts on what's going on right now with some of the internet atheists. I've said you're going to have some after the failure of the new atheism to deliver on its promises that society would improve and become more scientific if more people became atheists. Guess what? It happened. Millions and millions of people became atheists. Science did not improve in any way. Society did not improve anyway. So the promises were all came to naught. And I said, you're basically going to have three reactions among atheists. Some atheists are going to leave atheism. They're going to say, this didn't work. This was stupid. Why did we sign up for this? We're out of here. And they'll convert to something. You'll also have, then the second group, you'll have some atheists, but they become less aggressive. They go back to what atheism was before the new atheists. You did have some aggressive atheists like Madalyn Murray O'Hair and so on, but for the most part, atheists didn't care a whole lot what other people believed. Then they became, with the new atheism, they became obsessed with making everyone agree with them. I think it's going to go back to not caring for a lot of people.
I don't really understand what's going on here because Myth Vision, Derek, I really like the guy. I've had a personal friendship with him.
I'm explaining it. I know exactly what's going on.
IP, I also like IP, and between the two, it's like I think both of these are awesome humans, fantastic people, wonderful persons. And to my understanding, those two were getting along very well as well. They were personally communicating and partnering up and all that. So I'm not entirely sure what happened, what unfolded over the last few weeks or so, but it's kind of sad to see.
I'll tell you exactly what's happening. So as I said, the third group will be the new atheists who sort of grew up with the new atheism, where atheists are a bunch of guys who sit around going, we're smart, everyone else is stupid, we're smart, everyone else is dumb, we're so smart. And that felt good. It felt good to just be able to sit back and tell everyone else they're stupid and pretend that you're smart. Now you're getting past that where that doesn't work anymore. Now people are thinking, actually, you're freaking stupid. You guys thought you knew how to run things and you don't. You're a bunch of idiots, right? Guys, notice the parallel here, right? You have a bunch of jihadis in Syria taking over Syria. Now they're stuck with the difficult work of actually having to make a government work, right? You need a full government. You need court systems. You need an economy. You need constitution. You need a lot of stuff now that you as jihadis might not know what to do with. So once your goal was, let's just get rid of the regime. Let's get rid of the regime. You knew how to do that. Okay, now you got rid of the regime. Now what? Now what do you do? Well, we don't know. We hadn't thought this far ahead. That's like the new atheist came out. Let's just get rid of religion. Let's get rid of all this stuff. Let's tear it all down. Tear it all down. Okay, you got a bunch of what you want. Now what? Now what are you going to do? We don't know. What? I thought all we were going to do was spend our whole lives saying we're smart and everyone else is dumb. No one's listening to us anymore. What do we do? What do we do? They don't know what to do. And so they're scrambling to figure stuff out. So I don't know what the situation was with Myth Vision. But psychologically, people who are the group that's trying to cling to relevance and want to cling to their position of saying everyone's dumb and they're smart. They're not going to be doing well right now. They're psychologically traumatized by reality. And so they're going to be lashing out in every direction. And some of it's not going to be pretty. So I have no interest in following what's going on. Here's the idea, guys. Some people are dying for attention. They're striving for attention. They desperately want attention. Some of those people, you want to give them attention because you're going to feed their narcissism and make them even more difficult to control later on.
I hate people who want attention.
Yeah. Other people want attention because they're trying to strive to relevance, and you want to ignore them. So some people are dying for attention. I want attention. Pay attention to me. Listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to me. Some people you want to say, oh, okay. You want to feed them. You want to feed their narcissism. Why? Because they're going to cause massive damage. This is what you do with a Dawa guy. When you see a Dawa guy come along and he's a complete narcissist and wants tons and tons of attention, give him attention. Because in the future, once his head is so big that he cannot withstand one word of criticism, he will start lashing out in every direction at his fellow Dawa guys, and it will cause massive division. That's cool. You want to feed that narcissism. Other people, like an atheist who's sinking and is like, trying to stay afloat and stuff, just ignore him. Not in reality. If he's actually drowning, then definitely help him. If he's drowning in a sea of his own failure because he chained himself to a sinking ship, that's on him.
True.
The Bible Melody says, please rate one of my Bible songs on my channel. I will watch a video
Do you
I'll watch
do you
whatever
think that's funny?
I will watch whatever your most popular video is on the Bible
You think
Melody
that's
channel.
funny? Why are you laughing about this? You think that's funny?
What? I didn't
Why
laugh.
did you laugh?
How would Muslims do Hajj from Mars? You're finished. Muslims move to Mars. That would be, they could do it. It'd just be a long pilgrimage. What's the difference between the end times narrative in Christianity versus Islam? Asking from my mom, who thinks both religions have the same narrative of killing us Jews to achieve apocalypse. Any thoughts on this, AP?
I mean, Islam is with Islam it's very clear. There will be lots of signs for the end, and especially while there are the minor signs, there are about 10 major signs that are supposed to happen in Islam.
Well, yeah, but we don't need to be talking about minors here. What they're going to do with minors.
And so among those, there will be the Dajjal, the Islamic equivalent of the Antichrist, but some guy who's claiming to be God and so on, and who raises people from the dead, and who makes people believe that he's wonderful and all of that. It's kind of funny because what Islam describes as the Antichrist or as the Dajjal pretty much sounds like Jesus in Christianity. It sounds like Islam kind of developed this whole aversion against Christianity and thereby built its own eschatological system. Anyway, that guy will be followed by a bunch of Jews. And the Jews will be fighting against the Muslims, and the Muslims will fight them and kill them all. And the Jews will be hiding behind rocks and trees, and the rocks and trees will say, "Hey, Muslim, there's a Jew behind me, come and kill him." Except for one tree, which is the Kargat tree, which everyone in Israel is planting in their backyards because everyone knows exactly that this is going to totally happen, according to Muslims. But eventually they will all be killed and eradicated, and everything will be wonderful and happy and super. But then the Islamic version of Jesus will come, and he will also break the cross and kill the pigs, and also convert or fight the Christians. So everyone will eventually be violently subjugated and humiliated, and then that will be the end of all. It's just a wonderful tale of love and peaceful submission and all that. Mm-hmm. So Islam is the religion that explicitly states that the Jews will be eradicated before the end comes, so it must happen. The day of judgment will not come before that happens, until that happens, and it also says that the Christians will be basically fought and the cross will be destroyed.
Yeah, and now you have Muslim commentators, because there's one thing Muhammad said, he will abolish the jizya, and that's interpreted, if you're going to abolish the jizya, then that means you're going to wipe out all the people who are paying the jizya, because other than that, you're supposed to be paying the jizya. So the idea is that they're going to be wiped out. For me, the biggest difference is in Christianity, Jesus says it's him and the angels who are carrying out the judgment. In Islam, it's Muslims are told that they're supposed to do things that are bringing about the end. Like you go, you're not getting your virgins until you go around killing these Jews and so on. So one is divine judgment, and the other one is there's divine judgment, but there's all this stuff, there's all this killing you're supposed to go do to bring it about. And so even if you didn't believe in either religion, like if you don't believe there's going to be any sort of divine retribution that is going on according to Islam, you still have a bunch of people who are told to go around killing to set things off. So it's dangerous. It's dangerous even if you don't believe in it. Coffee House here says, Greek Patriarch of Antioch is headquartered in Syria. They had a prayer summit with Muslim leaders against Israel. A prayer summit against Israel, calling Muslim spiritual brothers. Make that make sense. That's how they sell out. Yeah, I don't know, because I only have what you're saying about this. It wouldn't surprise me. And really, I actually get Christians in Syria who are surrounded by jihadis now, doing their best to get along with jihadis. But yeah, there are certain lines you're not going to cross. So I hope they're not crossing those lines.
It's kind of a pathetic move, man.
D Wood, when Irfan Pechi join you? Yes. I still don't know who that is. AP is the great interviewer of us. Derek seemed to be using IP for content. Oh, that's what you have to do right now. If you're starving for relevance and you want attention, then you're going to cling to anyone who's doing anything and try to,
Derek with content.
Look,
What do you
you see, I'm responding to him. I'm the powerful voice refuting him. Yeah, good luck with that.
LSD, you need to quit with that. I think Derek has plenty of content. I don't think he depends on that. I think he just has a personal thing going.
No, AP, stop clinging to what you know about a guy from 5 years ago. He's psychologically traumatized now. He's psychologically traumatized right now. Everything's going to be for show. Pope Derek. You know who I bet would be great at the shofar? Destiny. That's messed up. That's not funny. That's not funny, AP. Do not laugh at that. You're encouraging Goat Hub. This is why Goat Hub does this stuff, to make you laugh. If Goat Hub posted this stuff and we just went inappropriate. Wouldn't have to deal with
it. Yesterday there was a chat by somebody, some viewer who was called Estiny without the D at the end, and there was a very smart joke attached to it. Of I'm now called Estiny since I ate. People are messed up.
People are messed up, especially Turks. Is there a scripture I can fire back at Muslims when they say we misinterpreted the words of Allah when he says go back to the people of the script?
But the people...
One, you just need to read what that verse is, but you're not just talking about a verse. So it sounds like you're talking about Surah 10, verse 94. And that's where Muhammad himself is having doubts. And Allah says, if you're having doubts about what we have revealed to you, ask the people who read the book before you. So that's just one passage. What you have to deal with is the many passages where the Quran says it's specifically affirming the scriptures that are in the possession of the Jews and Christians during the time of Muhammad. And we know what those scriptures are because we have copies from before them and from after them. We know what the Torah and the gospel were at the time of Muhammad. It doesn't line up with Islam. And so just keep going through various passages. Go chapter 3, verses 3 to 4, go 7-157. Go 543, 547, 566, 568, 1094, as you pointed out. Several more important passages, but just get their feedback on those references that I gave you. There is no we've shown repeatedly. I mean, me and Avery just went live. We challenge all Muslims. Just tell us what the Injil is. Not one Muslim could give us an explanation of what the Injil is that fit what the Quran itself said. Why? Because there's nothing. The only thing you could say, if you were to read the Quran from beginning to end and say, what is the Quran affirming? It's affirming the scriptures that Christians still have. But you can't say that as a Muslim because our scriptures contradict it. And therefore, there's just no way. There's no way. AP's got a little cold here. He's getting over it. He's taking the necessary precautions. Love what you do, Brother D. Wood. Jesus is king. That's true. Are we just ignoring the fact that AP is farting into the shofar?
Yes.
AP, give drums a try. I don't know if that's saying you're so good at the shofar, you should try drums too, or please give up on the shofar and just play drums. But I think you're making excellent progress. So, Goathub says, AP, you look like you're about to yell, "You're gonna eat lightning." Oh yeah, that was from Rocky. Was that Rocky 1 or Rocky 2? He was telling him how he's going to be fast. It was his trainer Mick. He says, "You're going to eat lightning and crap thunder." It's pretty. I
don't know the reference.
No, because you haven't watched any good movie ever. If Allah breathed into the lady parts of Mary for her to become pregnant to Jesus, wouldn't this imply that Allah was? No, would not imply that at all. All he says is he blew into her. He blew into her. All right. Are we ready, AP? Are we ready to go through this article?
I thought we were done with the live stream, man.
No. Isn't it crazy? We just spent 47 minutes talking about weird comments from a bunch of creepy Goat Hub people.
Yes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So an article just came out from the Telegraph. We're going to look at this article in the Telegraph. And I also have pulled up the actual study. The study is, there's a lot of detail in the study. Fortunately, they have sort of the summaries and stuff like that. We'll check out the summary findings. So we've all heard about the civilian casualties in Gaza. And normally you want to minimize civilian casualties. Hamas wants to maximize civilian casualties so they can turn more people against Israel. It's a weird situation because the people in Gaza who report, keep in mind, you're a reporter, you don't know. I mean, even if you were in Gaza, how do you know how many people have been killed? Someone has to give you a number. Who's giving journalists their numbers? The Gaza Ministry of Health is saying, this is how many people have been killed. This is how many were combatants. This is how many were civilians. This is how many men, women, and children. And that's who's giving journalists their numbers. Israel's also providing numbers, but journalists generally don't use the numbers given to them by Israel. They use the numbers given to them by the Gaza Ministry of Health. And shocker of shockers, turns out they may have been toying with the numbers a little bit. What are you giggling yourself silly over, AP?
When you said Gaza Ministry of Health, it sounded like you could turn it into a Gaza Ministry of Hell.
Gaza, that's what you're laughing about? Gaza Ministry of Hell?
Yeah.
That's actually pretty funny. We should start. All right. Order. We have a motion that the Gaza Ministry of Health now be referred to as the Gaza Ministry of Hell. As chair, I second that motion. All against? With no one against. All right. The motion passes. We shall now refer to the Gaza Ministry of Health as the Gaza Ministry of Hell.
Alhamdulillah.
Powerful. All right. So here we go. Here we have the article in the Telegraph. Number of civilians killed in Gaza inflated to vilify Israel. Researchers accuse Gaza Ministry of Hell of overstating casualty data. Imagine the Ministry of Hell doing something like that. The number of civilians. Go ahead and read.
Wait.
What?
They inflated the number?
Yeah, isn't that weird? Why would they do that?
Hamas?
Yeah, isn't it weird? It's like they want to make Israel appear even more victorious over them.
I don't know, man. This is
It's like, guys, you think they only killed this many? They killed way more. Let's make up numbers about how they're even more successful.
This is a bit shocking to me.
Let's go ahead and read some of this, ladies and gentlemen. The number of civilians killed in the Gaza conflict has been inflated to portray Israel as deliberately targeting innocent people, a report claims. Researchers accuse the Gaza Ministry of Hell of overstating casualty data by including natural deaths, in other words, just people who regularly die. And they say, hey, so another... That's funny. So let's say your grandma dies. And what do? You say, oh, God, my grandma was killed by the Jews. The Jews got my grandma. Grandma got run over by an Israeli tank. So including natural deaths, failing to differentiate between civilian and combat casualties, and over-reporting the numbers of women and children killed. In other words, every place it would be relevant to fake some statistics, they're faking them. The study by the Henry Jackson Society, a think tank, claims the figures have been manipulated by the Hamas-run authorities in Gaza for propaganda purposes, with international media outlets happy to repeat them uncritically. Wait a minute. Are you saying journalists are doing a crap job? I find that very hard to believe.
What the heck?
What?
This is devastating to me, man.
I know. We had so much confidence that Hamas, who runs the Gaza Ministry of Hell, would be completely honest in the numbers they report. After all, that's how they're treated by journalists around the world. Like, these are the most truthful guys on the planet. I don't even know what to do. It's like we've entered into opposite world where the most reliable people turn out to be unreliable. I don't know what to do.
All year I was trusting Hamas. All year I was trusting Hamas with everything they were saying, and now it turns out that they were actually misrepresenting things.
Isn't that crazy? Like, imagine, guys, this is like, imagine someone you trust most in life, your husband, your wife, or something like this, and your parents, whoever that may be, your best friend, someone you really, really trust, and then you find out this person has been lying to you the entire time and stabbing you in the back.
There was just one single entity, one single place that I put my trust in this entire year. That was Hamas, and now this.
It's wild stuff. All right, as much as heartbreaking as this going to be, we're going to have to get to the reality. The truth must be told. The Gaza Ministry of Hell has estimated that more than 44,000 people have been killed since Israel launched its military response to the October 7th Hamas attacks. The Henry Jackson Society found that based on Israeli and U.S. military and intelligence reports, around 17,000 of these were Hamas fighters, but claims that this has been frequently overlooked in media reports. Its report states, the Ministry of Hell, operating under Hamas, has systematically inflated the death toll by failing to distinguish between civilian and combatant deaths, over-reporting fatalities among women and children, and even including individuals who died before the conflict began. So even before October 7th, there were people dying that year. And when the Gaza Ministry of Hell is reporting deaths, they're including people who had already died earlier before the conflict. So in other words, your grandma died in January of 2023. You say, the Jews got grandma, the Jews got her when they retaliated after the October 7th attacks. This has led to a narrative where the Israel Defense Forces are portrayed as disproportionately targeting civilians, while the actual numbers suggest a significant proportion of the dead are combatants. We've already known that sort of thing. Let's see. Critics of Israel say that even if anomalies are excluded from the casualty figures, tens of thousands of innocent civilians have been killed in Gaza. The report found numerous statistical anomalies and inaccuracies. Researchers say that around 5,000 natural deaths, which would have happened even without the conflict, appear to have been added to the list of casualties, including cancer patients who later appeared on lists of those still receiving hospital treatment. So guys, get the point about the 5,000. In other words, they're doing an estimate here. They're saying basically 5,000 people die annually in Gaza. Just of natural death. You just die. You get old or something like this, or you're sick or something like that. So 5,000 natural deaths. What they're saying is that the Gaza Ministry of Health has basically spent the entire year. Anyone who dies, they say it's because of Israeli attacks. So they're saying, it's been over five. If it's 5,000 annual deaths, it's now been well over a year. But they're saying these guys are including natural deaths. So if you get sick and go to the hospital and you die, then they put you down in reports as killed by the IDF. Interesting stuff. Other errors, some of which were later rectified by the ministry, include adult casualties being recorded as children, several men being wrongly recorded as women, thereby artificially increasing the number of women and children recorded as killed. So your friend Ahmed dies while fighting the IDF. How do you report this? You report this as, they got poor Aisha. They got poor Aisha, who wasn't a 22-year-old man fighting against Israel. Aisha was a 9-year-old civilian girl, and the IDF got her. That's how you report it. Researchers who established that the majority of those killed were men. Interesting. Researchers who established that the majority, talking most, of those killed were men aged 15 to 45, said they found a pattern of victims' ages being revised downwards by at least 1 year when compared to data on the Palestinian population register in an apparent attempt to inflate the number of children recorded as killed. So the idea here is everyone who's reported as dead, you knock at least one year off their age so that the average looks significantly younger. And of course, so some of those fall into the child category. This misclassification contributes to the narrative that civilian populations, particularly women and children, bear the brunt of the conflict, potentially influencing sentiment and media coverage, said Andrew Fox, the report's author. The Henry Jackson Society said, the casualty figures also failed to distinguish between Gazans killed by the IDF and those killed by misfired Hamas rockets or during the distribution of food aid. So they're not distinguishing when they're saying, look at all these people who've been killed. They're not distinguishing between people killed by the IDF and those killed by Hamas misfired rockets, or just flat out killed by Hamas for disagreeing with them over something or trying to get food. In other words, Hamas fires a rocket, kills a bunch of its own people because it misfires. What do they say? Look what the IDF did. The IDF did this to us. And if someone shows up to a food truck and tries to grab some food, Hamas shoots them. What do they say? Oh, the IDF, they got this guy, another one by the IDF. These include 17-year-old Ahmed Shdah Halmi Brika, who was reported to have been shot dead by Hamas while trying to obtain food for his family from a humanitarian aid shipment in December last year. So he tried to get some food, got shot dead by Hamas, gets reported as killed by the IDF. And then protesters around the world, look at the IDF, they killed him. Poor guy, just trying to get some food. He just wanted some falafel. Why are you laughing at that? You're sick. You're sick. The authors said that the Hamas-sanctioned casualty figures had been taken at face value by several international media outlets, including the BBC, the New York Times, and CNN. The top dogs are just taking these numbers at face value without questioning them. According to the report, only 5% of the media organizations surveyed cited casualty figures issued by the Israeli authorities, while 98% used those provided by the Hamas-controlled health ministry. Guys, you see how messed up that is? 98% are using 98% of media organizations surveyed use statistics on the war provided by Hamas. And only 5% will cite statistics provided by Israel. Now, hang on, let me go and pause this. Let me go and pause this here. I just want to be clear. If Hamas gives some statistics from the war, so you say, hey, Ministry of Hell, Gaza Ministry of Hell, how many people have been killed? And break down the numbers for us. How many combatants, how many civilians, how many men, how many women, how many children, and break them down by age group. Let us know. We want to know. We want to know all this information. The Gaza Ministry of Hell gives you that information, their estimates. And it's understood. It's understood. These numbers could change over time. Not everyone knows everything and so on. So this is the best they can come up with, according to them. So let's say they estimate this many. And then you ask Israeli authorities the same question. Estimate how many people have been killed, how many of those were combatants, how many of those were civilians, how many men, women, children, what age groups, and so on. And you're going to get a different number. They're going to agree a lot. They're going to agree a lot of people have been killed, a lot of civilians have been killed, and so on. But you're going to get some difference here. I would guess that the truth is going to be somewhere in between those two. The truth is going to be somewhere in between those two. I would suspect that the truth is going to be closer to the Israeli numbers. Closer. There's bias. There's going to be bias on both sides. In other words, up here, to get this number, if you're the Gaza Ministry of Hell, you're going to be wanting to. We know you're going to be wanting to count everything. Oh, grandma died. Let's count her as someone killed by the IDF. We know you're going to be doing things like that. If you're on the Israeli side, you're going to say, hey, we've heard that the people are saying that such and such happened. We want good evidence before we actually tack that number on. So they're going to want good evidence for everything, but sometimes it's hard to get the good evidence. So they might be underestimated. It's going to be, but the truth is going to be somewhere in between. I would guess it's going to be closer to the Israeli side because I just think they're more honest than actual Hamas terrorists are.
You don't trust terrorists?
I trust them at certain things, not reporting information about their enemies that they're trying to annihilate and are deliberately trying to get the world to condemn them. It is strongly in their best interest to make things up.
I guess that makes sense. That makes sense. The funny thing is, according to Israel's last numbers, let's see, when did Israel last give figures for estimated deaths inside Gaza? That was in May and in November. In November, they said that they estimate that around 20,000 Hamas militants have been eradicated. That's what they said in November. They prior to that gave civilian death count of around the same figure or so, but in total, Israel has given so far a total of 36,000 or over 36,000 deaths inside Gaza as a number, and the coincidence here is that also, if you look at the data coming from the Hamas Ministry of Hell, the Gaza Ministry of Hell, you have 36,000 people identified by name that were killed so far, although they claim that around 46,000 people or 43,000 people or so are dead. So it seems that Israel is much more reliable with these numbers.
And guys, think about those. So think about those numbers. AP was saying they talked about 36,000. I think the Gaza Ministry of Hell is talking about 44,000 right there. So suppose it's somewhere right in the middle of those two, right? It's right in the middle of 36 and 44,000. Because keep in mind, it's being pointed out that they're apparently including the number of just natural deaths. So if you just take off the natural deaths, which are estimated to be around 5,000. Okay, now all of a sudden you're going from 44 or 45 down to like 39 or 40. And if Israel's estimating that around 20,000 of those were combatants, then you're already at a 1-to-1 ratio, which is, if you don't know, that's insanely good. That would be insanely good in any war. That would be beyond conceivably good for this kind of war. One, where it's urban warfare. Two, where your enemies are actually trying to deliberately maximize civilian casualties by killing a bunch of your people, running and hiding in tunnels, and leaving you to have to go through the civilians to try and get to them, using human shields. So if they're anywhere in the ballpark of a 1-to-1 civilian to combatant ratio, that is insanely good. And it looks like that's what the ratio is going to be, somewhere in that ballpark. So this is why you'd have to misrepresent things if you want to make Israel look. Anyone who has any concept of history of warfare or anything else would look at this and go, my goodness, they're being careful. What's the message being spread? They're just dropping bombs randomly on any civilian they see. Bunch of dopes.
There are still entire regions inside the Gaza Strip, that are not yet under Israeli control, and where Israel has not made any attempt to really to fully occupy, to fully go through and take under control. There are still entire places in Gaza that are currently only surrounded by the IDF, but that are not, that the IDF is not fully controlling right now, and many places that have also not so far been in any way harmed, bombed, or anything at all. Possibly because Israel or the IDF thinks that at this moment, it does not seem beneficial to have large-scale operations in that region, or they're trying to get more information, or trying to, explore the underground tunnel system further to see if it really goes there. This has been going on for quite a while now, this war, but there are still entire regions and even cities that are still left alone very much, and Israel doesn't have to do this. If Israel was the villain, the monster that they have been depicting Israel as, Israel didn't have to do this. Israel could have been just bombing the heck out of this whole place by now and taking all of it under control after relentlessly bombing, relentlessly burning it all up. They're not doing that.
It's bombing and
Bombing.
burning.
Sorry, burning and bombing. Yeah.
All right, now we got it. All right, let's get a little more of this article here. So where was we? Where were we? BBC, New York Times, CNN. According to the report, only 5% of the media, blah, blah, blah. 98% of those used. Okay, so as I pointed out, I would guess that the truth lies somewhere in between the numbers given by the Gaza Hell Ministry and the IDF or the Israeli authorities. And yet, journalists around the world go almost exclusively with the Hamas figures. Very smart, very smart. The report, carried out by the 50 Global Research Group with the support of the International Institute of Social and Legal Studies, also accuses the United Nations, of conflating civilian and military casualties in a number of its humanitarian appeals. Wait a minute, I thought the United Nations were the good guys.
Who could have thought? Oh no, this is shocking!
The United Nations is corrupt.
Even the United Nations. Oh no!
Yeah, first we found out that our best friends in the world, our heroes, the pillars of virtue and ethics, Hamas, they're making things up, but now it's the United Nations.
I can't believe this.
It states, the omission creates a skewed narrative portraying all casualties as civilian, shaping public opinion and international policy based on incomplete or manipulated data, with Israel accused of genocide, ethnic cleansing, and crimes against humanity. Pretty Patel, the shadow foreign secretary, told the Telegraph, the manipulation of events and facts on the ground throughout this conflict confirms that a terrorist organization like Hamas will distort the truth. What? Wait, they needed confirmation of this. This confirms. What is it that confirms? The manipulation of events and facts on the ground throughout this conflict confirms, because we didn't have confirmation, we didn't know, we were like 50-50. Will a terrorist organization like Hamas distort the truth in order to further their own aims? We don't know. But now we've got the evidence, ladies and gentlemen. The evidence confirms that a terrorist organization like Hamas will distort the truth to further their own aims. The media must be alert to this and report information and events taking place in a responsible and balanced way. You have pretty high expectations for journalists nowadays. War is a tragedy, but Israel has a right to defend itself against terrorists who are backed by the Iranian regime that also threatens our interests and efforts to bring peace and stability to the region. Palestinian representatives have rejected the report's claims as morally and professionally repugnant way of defending Israel's actions in Gaza. Do we have the response? Now, Dr. Hussam Zomlot, the head of the Palestine mission to the United Kingdom, said numerous international organizations and UN agencies, including the World Health Organization, have not only confirmed these numbers, they've made the point that they are severely underestimated. Wait, they've confirmed how do you confirm the numbers? It's the Gaza Ministry of Hell that's telling you the numbers. So you say, okay, we agree with you. And they say, see, they agree with us. They've proven. And they say we're underestimate. Really? The Gaza Ministry of Hell, run by Hamas, whose main focus is propaganda. You think they're underestimating the numbers. It's actually much more. They're saying, 44,000 we think. But it's really 80,000. It's actually 80,000. They're all innocent babies. 80,000 innocent babies.
But actually, 800,000 of those journalist women.
1.8 billion Gazans have been killed. Because we don't know how many people are still buried under the rubble or have been killed indirectly as a result of Israel's targeting of the health sector, undermining all healthcare provision, the imposed famine. What did they say? They bring in enough food for every man, woman, and child to have like 3,000 calories a day. And they're saying the imposed famine and the wholesale destruction of infrastructure that has left 1.9 million people homeless. A BBC spokesman said, it is challenging It's a BBC spokesman. It is challenging to report accurately on the death toll in Gaza, as Israel does not allow independent access to international journalists. BBC News is clear and transparent in sourcing the figures which are available and attributing them to the Hamas-run Hell Authority. Beyond this, we use a range of sources to understand the impact of the war in Israel and Gaza on civilians, including the IDF, the Health Ministry in Gaza, and the UN. See this? They're saying, oh, we're taking all this into account. No, they showed only 5% of you garbage lunatics even give the numbers provided by Israeli authorities. Over 90% of the time, you stick with the numbers provided by Hamas. This article goes on. There's a link in the description box. You may need to refresh because I added it later, but there's more to this. But this is written. This extra section is written by the guy who wrote the report, and we're actually going to just look at the report. So you can read this on your own if you want that. We're going to just take a look at the report itself because we're based like that.
That's what they do.
It's what we do. It's what we do. Let's take these super chats because some of them are about what they just saw with their own faces. People are shocked, AP. Shocked, I say. They're shocked.
What always strikes me as the funniest thing in Gaza?
What?
There are places that are known as refugee camps. Places like, I don't know, Nusayrat camp. There are other places that are known as the refugee camps. The thing is, when you report about those places as a refugee camp, people around the world who are not familiar with Gaza and with the conflict and the politics get the idea that it's actually a refugee camp, meaning that it's just a camp with a bunch of tents and people are sleeping there out of necessity and so on. They have no place to go. It's actually a city. It is actually a city. One of the most famous ones, because it recently became subject of huge operations, was Nusayrat camp. It is called a camp. If you look at it, it is actually a city that has luxury things, that has businesses, restaurants, including restaurants where people have just left reviews within the last year saying food is good, everything good. Jewelers, I don't know. Car dealers, hotels, and so on. Regular stuff. The thing is, they call it refugee camp because in Gaza they preserve a refugee system that is unlike any other refugee system around the world, and this is upheld by the United Nations, which is a corrupt organization that deserves to die. They preserve a refugee system where they are only known as refugees because people living in these places are descendants of people who several generations ago lived in let's say a border region that is nowadays part of Israel, but they left that region during the 1948 war, which the Arab side started. They temporarily left the region to then later come back once Israel is destroyed and annihilated. But when Israel won the war, they never had the chance to come back. So they suddenly started crying victim, like, wait a minute, we were living there. Not anymore. Not anymore. Bye-bye. Not anymore. And those people from the aggressor side that left with the hopes of annihilating Israel and coming back and living there and taking everything from the Jews, those people are still recognized as refugees. Excuse me, the descendants, the grandchildren of those people are still recognized as refugees, despite the fact that they are still living normal lives like you and me in regular cities. And the United Nations is keeping up this facade, this clownery, this stupidity, this pathetic system, which only the so-called Palestinians in the world can claim. Nobody else is treated by these standards. Only the Palestinians. Only they are treated with these standards. Only they get this corrupt treatment from the United Nations that is in on this.
Yeah, the United Nations is garbage. Said it once, I'll say it 1,000 times. Islam ruins everything it touches. Takes good ideas and turns them into terrible ideas with the power of it's like the Midas touch, but with turning stuff into crap. Islam's really good at it.
Powerful.
All right. Take some super chats because they are based on this article, and then we will take a look at the core findings of the study that the article is based on. Myth Vision reminds me of the nutcase fundamentalist. Is that a specific person, or you're just saying in general a nutcase fundamentalist? Because lots of the new atheists were basically like the fundamentalist versions of atheists. Also, do you guys think Destiny went to Diddy parties?
I have some respect for Myth Vision and the Pope here. I don't want to say it again.
Yeah, I don't know about the Diddy parties. I don't know how popular he was.
Don't think so.
Get him AP, get him D Wood. It's what we do.
Alhamdulillah.
The headline is a year behind. Yes. And if you went back a year in time and said, hey, what's a headline going to be once someone actually studies the numbers, you would guess some messing with statistics has been going on. So you could have anticipated that. I'm shocked AP is laughing that the Gaza genocide may be smaller than experts say. I thought he'd be like, damn Jews are losing their touch.
Paul.
The Jews ate my grandma. Where's the body? Hey, and remember they were trying to say that Israel had a new evaporator ray where they could just shoot people and it evaporates them to cover up the evidence. I guess that was a little plan. Okay, what if they show that there's only 36,000 and over half of those are combatants and not 44,000 and almost all civilians? What are we going to do? Oh, we'll just say they evaporated them with their evaporation ray.
That is an actual report by a self-proclaimed journalist in the Palestinian territories in Gaza, who actually reported credible reports. I am being told that Israel developed a new weapon with which they can evaporate Palestinian bodies.
They're evaporating them, ladies and gentlemen.
It is impossible. It is the technology to do something like that is impossible. It is impossible. It might be possible sometime far in the future with discovering some new technologies with which you can make this somehow work. Unthinkable right now, but at this moment this is impossible. Nobody has such technology unless you want to accuse the Jews of being these superhumans who have access to something, to magic and to things that no other human can access. Such a thing does not exist, but they are making up these ridiculous claims that Israel actually evaporates bodies with new weapons, not weapons. And of course they can say, well, there are actually more people died. We just don't have their bodies because Israel evaporated them. That's ridiculous.
And if you get enough stupid people, watch next year BBC will be reporting this. Oh, we have it on credible sources in the Gaza Ministry of Hell that the Israelis have been evaporating the bodies.
Oh my God.
What?
Anyone who wants to check, actually just search Israel evaporating bodies. There are actual reports from ridiculous pro-Palestine, pro-Arab news sites that say investigation needed, Israel possibly using banned weapons with which they evaporate bodies.
Well, you can't put it past them. After all, they did just nuke Syria, according to Syrian Girl. They nuked them.
Man, I mean, if Israel developed a weapon to evaporate bodies, I think you should just allow Israel to just to be in charge of everything.
Yeah, we'll go and say it, guys. If you think Israel has a weapon that can just evaporate you, surrender. Just surrender. I would not mess with someone who had the ability to just evaporate me at will. I wouldn't have messed with him after that. I found out they could blow my balls off at will. I wouldn't have messed with him after that. But you guys are like, oh, and they can blow our balls off and then evaporate us and drop a nuke on us, and the whole world will not know that a nuke has been dropped. Okay, these guys are as powerful as you think. Just say no to jihad against them. Grandma got run over by a Merkava. Alhamdulillah. Do you know the song? Have you ever heard it?
No.
You never heard that growing up? I know
No.
you didn't hear it in Germany or in Turkey, but you never heard it over here? Grandma got run over by a reindeer?
No.
You need to hear it before Christmas to be a real American. Grandma got run over by a reindeer walking home from our house Christmas Eve. You can say there's no such thing as Santa, but as for me and Grandpa, we believe. And then it's a story about how Grandma got run over by a reindeer after she'd been drinking too much eggnog. A Merkava is, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Merkava, is that correct? That's the IDF tank. So how many clowns were really in the car? How many clowns? Got to count. The deaths in Gaza are going up faster than the U.S. national debt clock. Yeah, even if no fighting is going on, the numbers will rise just from natural deaths. Grandma got run over by a rabbi. She was on her way to some Jews. You may not believe in Israel, but me and Grandpa, we know that it's true. Something like that. Why women automatically are assumed to be innocent. That is true. Woman that celebrated October 7th or backed the Hamas or kept hostage in their home is not innocent. Yeah, so a couple things there.
Yes.
One, there are times when they're counting actual combatants as civilian men. But yes, you bring up a point. Just because a woman dies, which all the women who die are going to be listed as civilians, I guarantee you a good number of these women are actually doing something. Right? So we know that. Yes. So yes, you wouldn't want to automatically assume, but it will be assumed that any women killed are civilians.
Yeah, just one objection there. I wouldn't say that somebody who celebrated October 7 would be a legitimate target, but I also wouldn't feel pretty bad. I also wouldn't feel very beat up about her death.
Yeah, you don't say that celebrating something evil is a death sentence, but you would have a very different view of that person dying than you would of someone who was condemning the attacks or something like that. Very, very different. Nisa Sonic says, IDF is biased. Propaganda is Hamas's main strategy. Yeah, so this is going back to what I said. I would guess that it's going to be somewhere in between and probably closer to the Israeli estimate. Because, yes, they're going to be biased in the sense of we don't want to accept numbers until we're verified. So we know we know for a fact around this many people have been killed. Beyond that, we're going to have to see more evidence beyond just someone saying it. But guess what? Some of those deaths that people are just saying are probably going to be real. So the number is probably going to be higher. But yeah, so the IDF is going to be biased in the sense that, hey, we don't want to inflate numbers, so we want to see good evidence for them until we grant them, even though the number will probably be higher than they're estimating. But if you're Hamas, propaganda is what you do. That's your main thing. And that's why I would trust the Israeli sources a bit more. Just like Allah, as mentioned earlier in the stream, I've blown into a few ladies' parts. It's just that none have gotten pregnant yet. That is, yeah, it is. Only Allah can blow into a body part and make someone pregnant. Normal people cannot blow into someone and make them pregnant. I find it disturbing that I have to do biology lessons here, but that's how.
What a channel, man! What a channel! On my channel, we don't have such inappropriate talk, but yeah.
No, this is actually it's actually making what could be a funny little skit, a point in a funny little skit. It could be like, you could be like a Muslim. He's like, Dad, I don't know what to do. I keep trying to get my wife pregnant and she won't get pregnant. And Dad says, well, what are you doing wrong, son? What are you doing wrong? I just looked at what Allah did. He blew into her, so I keep blowing into her, but she's not getting pregnant like Mary did. Oh, I don't know. And then Dad has to explain, some things.
GoTop said, what a crazy super chat.
If GoTub's calling you crazy, you got some issues. Like coffee and cream, you two go together beautifully. I adore you both. And then what you do for what you do.
Gay.
Adore you both. And yes. But we finally got a normal comment.
Oh, thank you. Awesome.
Hello, happy to see you, Booth. Yes. Thank you, Ida.
Booth.
Inshallah, Habibi, give me tunnels of love. Sadly, it won't help me post my mostly peaceful statements. Tunnels of love.
Tunnels of love.
Million pregnant virgins and pregnant men. We're in the Gaza camps.
Yeah.
The Mossad teleported them to Mars. Yeah, why say an evaporation ray? Just say they have a teleportation ray and they send them directly to Mars, and Elon knows about it. That's why he's saying we need to build these bases so we can keep them captive.
This is where Elon is trying to hide all the Gaza bodies.
Joe here says evaporator ray is literally a phaser in Star Trek. Yeah, when you set that thing all the way up to, I think they're inconsistent in their portrayal of phasers. But yeah, they did have some that would just destroy you. Oh, I get it. AP's just happy Germany and Turkey won't lose their high scores.
Yeah.
Is that you?
Yes.
Wait, did Santa nuke Grandma? Did Santa nuke Grandma? Why did you not get in the cage with hijab, you weaklings? Just saw his fight debut with the world's slowest dude. He refuses the old Israeli jiu-jitsu guy because of his back, but fights the Michelin man. Coward, love you both. Yeah, guys. So I didn't follow the whole fight situation. I don't care. I did see like a 8 or 10 second clip. He's fighting this short, fat. Actually, I don't know that the guy's short. Anyone would look short compared to hijab. Hijab's like 6'8" or something like that. But he seemed, by comparison, a short, fat guy, and all I saw was it was the end. Hijab kicked him in the stomach, and the guy and it looked like a little tap to his giant belly, and then the guy just went down. So that was
This is weird.
Yeah. So guys, if that's how Hijab did against a total out of shape rookie, when he was challenging an actual Israeli champion fighter, he would have gotten annihilated. It would have been over in 10 seconds. If you don't recall, because we actually covered it back then, Hijab was challenging the idea of produce your champion who will face me. And the guy said, okay, I'll do it. It's an actual MMA, Israeli MMA fighter. The guy's like 50 years old or 50, I think over 50 or something like that. But the guy said, I'll do it. And then the Hijab camp started saying, oh, but you can't use this move and you can't use that move and you can't do this. And you can't. They're telling this guy what moves he will be allowed to use in this fight to help Hijab, who's twice his size. And anyway, the guy said, look, and they said, you can't broadcast it. You can't show it. It's going to be in a private gym, blah, blah, blah. You can't use all these moves. And the guy said, this is a joke. I'm not doing this. And then they said, oh, you see, everyone's running from the Hijab.
Isn't this embarrassing, man?
What?
I'm just.
What are you looking at it?
I didn't see it, but I'm just looking at it right now, and wow, man! It's the guy is his opponent. I don't know who this guy is, but his opponent is a shorter guy who has a belly that is just wobbling the entire time, and the way he defeats him is that he at some point barely touches his belly with.
That's
his
what I mean.
foot
It looks like a little
collapsing,
just a little
and
kick in the stomach.
Yeah, like the guy is shaped worse than me, man. What is this?
And it's funny. You've got the Hijab fans. We already know what they're. Oh my goodness! He's the greatest fighter who ever lived. He's ready. He's ready for the UFC championship.
And when he wins, he goes, yeah,
Allahu Akbar! I have defeated all the kuffar of the world. You know, it's interesting though, because all these guys are going in a martial arts direction, right? Eddie from the Dean Show, Hamza just posted some, I don't know, kickboxing match. Hamza Tortoise. All these guys are going in the MMA direction. Think about how it's the logical next step, and given what's going on, right? What they've done, and this transition happened with hijab. It went from dawah being focused on appealing to non-Muslims to dawah is showing Muslims that Islam's strong and others weak, right? It changed it. It changed it to a caveman mentality. Once that changed it, once that shift occurred, and now Dawa is simply showing that you're strong. We strong, everyone else weak. It's pretty natural to just go into a like MMA direction and say, look, we fight, we strong, we fight, and give up on the arguments altogether. Why are you using arguments if your only goal is to show we strong than you? Just everyone become fighters. Everyone become MMA fighters. And then when someone argues with you, then just say, let's fight over this. Let's fight. We will fight. But this is the truth, right? This is what the true religion needs to show that it's true. Fun stuff. Misha here says, the Jews have access to all the powerful Sinai Bible and Billy's forbidden knowledge of St. Barnabas, you see. Is that Billy dude that people have been talking about recently? I still don't know about that dude. And here, it's Estony. That's not funny, man. I literally just told you, not just a few minutes ago, to stop laughing and encouraging these guys. And look what you have, Estony here. And he says, I tried Allah's trick to get my girl pregnant. Nothing. So I moved on to dudes. Better results. You're sitting here laughing, and this is why people are posting. If we're just, guys, this is horrible. This is horrible. Do not talk like this. Grow up. Stop acting like children. They would stop doing it. But you're like, now say something about poo. I really laugh if someone says poo. And then people start posting poo comments. Wow. All right, everyone. So what do we want to do now? We want to check out the actual report. The actual report. Let's see what this is. Let me scroll up. I've got it right in front of me. I want to scroll up to the top so we can see who this is. Questionable counting. I'm going to have to crop this a bit. Let's see what we got on the screen. Zoom in here. Shift over here a bit. And right about there. Looks good. All right, so let's see. And let me go up here. Questionable counting. But what? Muslims invented algebra. Not really, guys. Questionable counting, analyzing the death toll from the Hamas-run Ministry of Hell in Gaza by Andrew Fox. This is the Henry Jackson Society Center for New Middle East, December 2024. Blah 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Let's see, acknowledgements, blah, blah. Okay, here are the chapters. We're only going to check out one or two sections. So about this society, no one cares. Okay, key findings, page 5, and executive summary, page 6. That's what we're interested in for everyone who's interested in checking out the data, the actual statistics, the information that they found when they were investigating. You can see the stuff there, and the link is in the description box. Link to this study is in the description box if you want to study it carefully. It's there. We'll check out the key findings here. So, key findings. Men listed as women to inflate female fatalities. Analysis of Gaza Ministry of Hell. Mo. That's perfect. Ministry of Hell. Mo. Oh, boy. Analysis of the Gaza Ministry of Hell fatality data reveals repeated instances of men being misclassified as women. Examples include individuals with male first names, such as Muhammad, being recorded as female. You imagine this? And look at all the females who've died. Like, why are all their names Muhammad? Oh, because they were all transitioning.
They were the transition, bro. We cannot question their gender. What are you talking about? Don't be stupid.
You're committing gendercide. Being recorded as female. Don't dead name them. You're dead naming them Muhammad. Being recorded as female. This misclassification contributes to the narrative that civilian populations, particularly women and children, bear the brunt of the conflict, potentially influencing international sentiment and media coverage. Adults registered as children Significant discrepancies have been uncovered where adult fatalities are reclassified as children. For instance, an individual aged 22 was listed as a 4-year-old, and a 31-year-old was listed as an infant.
Man, wow.
Can you imagine this? And then the mother of the 31-year-old is on the news. They killed my baby, my poor little baby. Ma'am, how are you 65 years old with a baby? Oh, it's a miracle, a miracle. I had a miracle baby, but the Jews got him. Do you have a picture? He seems awfully big. Yes, he was always a large baby. Such distortions inflate the number of child casualties, which is emotionally impactful and heavily emphasized in global reporting. These misrepresentations suggest a deliberate attempt to frame the conflict as disproportionately affecting children, undermining the credibility of the fatality data.
That's what they do.
Disproportionate deaths of fighting age men. Data. And by the way, guys, this is important. This may not sound as important as it is. This is massively important. So lots of Hamas jihadis will go out and fight dressed as civilians. They're just dressed like regular people. Okay, so you see a guy, he comes out, he's got a gun, he's shooting at you. You're in the IDF, you shoot him, but he's wearing normal clothes. How is the Gaza Ministry of Hell, MO for short, going to report that? They're going to report that as a civilian casualty. Now, really, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what a child is doing. That a child could be firing a rocket at your tank. That child will definitely be listed as a civilian casualty. A woman, it doesn't matter if that woman is charging you with an AK-47. She is going to be listed in the statistics as a civilian casualty. The best indicator you have of people who are actually combatants is their gender and age. If you are in the 15 to 45-year-old range, you're probably some sort of combatant, right? So when it says data analysis indicates that most fatalities, they're not mostly women and children, most fatalities are men aged 15 to 45. In other words, fighting age men. That's most of the fatalities in this war. Contradicting claims that civilian populations are being disproportionately targeted. This age demographic aligns closely with the expected profile of combatants, further supported by spikes in deaths of men reported by family sources rather than hospitals. This evidence suggests that many fatalities classified as civilian may be combatants, a distinction omitted from official reporting. So they don't tell people this. Inclusion of natural deaths in reporting. Despite the typical annual rate of 5,000 natural deaths in Gaza, the fatality data provides no accounting for such figures. This omission raises concerns that natural deaths, as well as deaths caused by internal violence or misfired rockets, are being included in war-related fatality counts. Instances of cancer patients previously registered for treatment appearing on war fatality lists further support this assertion. Such practices inflate the reported civilian death toll, complicating accurate assessments of the conflict's impact. So in other words, when they're looking at the data, they're saying, oh, this person is listed as a casualty of the war. The IDF killed this person. And then they're looking through other records and going, why is this person listed as a cancer patient in the final stages of cancer at this hospital? You're saying that this person was a combatant? Looking a little suspicious here. And media underreporting of combatant deaths. Analysis of media coverage reveals that only 3% of news stories reference combatant deaths. Only 3% of news stories reference combatant death. That's pretty bad. So when they're just reporting numbers, they make it sound like this is just a bunch of civilian deaths, men, women, and children. Analysis of media coverage reveals that only 3% of news stories reference combatant deaths, with outlets like the BBC, CNN, Reuters, and the New York Times primarily relying on Gaza Ministry of Hell figures. These figures often lack verification and fail to distinguish between combatants and civilians. The omission creates a skewed narrative that portrays all casualties as civilian, thus shaping public opinion and international policy based on incomplete or manipulated data. For example, more than 17,000 Hamas combatants are estimated to have been killed, yet these figures are largely excluded from global reporting. Wild, wild, weird stuff. All right, so guys, after this, we're going to read through this executive summary. I will pause right here to mention. So, AP. If this report is accurate, and this causes us to simply lean in the direction of the Israeli figures, right? So the Israeli sources are saying around 36,000 total deaths. The Gaza Ministry of Hell is saying around 44,000 deaths. I would estimate the truth is somewhere in between. Let's suppose it's right in the middle, just 40,000. 40,000. Right there, they estimated 17,000 combatant deaths. AP has said that Israel estimates 20,000 combatant deaths. What would that be? If there's 40,000 total deaths and about 20,000 of those are combatants, you're talking a 1-to-1 civilian to combatant casualty ratio, which would be unheard of. Israel would be the most meticulously careful army in the history of armies in this situation to get that sort of result. But here's the thing. Even if you go with everything that's being said, even if you go with like 45,000 or something like this, if you give them the benefit of the doubt on everything, once you actually tally up the number of combatant deaths, you're still giving them every benefit of the doubt. If you lowball the number of combatants and you maximize the number of civilian deaths, you just go with the highest estimates, you're still at around 2-to-1 civilian to combatant ratio. You're still around 2-to-1, which would still be massively good for a war like this. Urban warfare, you're fighting through buildings and houses and so on. You have to drop bombs. Getting 2-to-1 would be really, really, really careful. And so the question is, no matter whose numbers you're going with, when you're asking the question, whose numbers do we go with? The Gaza Ministry of Hell's numbers? Well, if that's the case, then Israel's really, really, really careful. Or you go closer to the Israeli numbers, in which case Israel's really, 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 really careful. So Israel is somewhere in the range of really, 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 really good at being careful in all of this, no matter who you listen to, period. And yet you have idiots running through, it's a genocide, it's an ethnic cleansing, they're just killing women and children left and right. Stop lying, people.
I see what you're saying, David. I see what you're saying.
You see nothing. Okay.
I see what you're saying, and it sounds like Israel was severely misrepresented here, and it sounds like they're not really doing a terrible job. In fact, they're doing a pretty good job, as also experts on the matter have repeatedly pointed out, such as I have mentioned him, John Spencer at West Point, who is an expert in urban warfare, has repeatedly said that Israel has conducted their war better than any other nation in history when it comes to urban warfare, and has taken measures beyond what is expected to minimize civilian casualties. However, what about the USS Liberty? What about the USS Liberty?
You're right. We haven't thought about that.
And who killed Jesus?
Yeah, that's another good point.
Oh man, it's just. I mean,
That's what they do.
Are we really supposed to be surprised here now? You know, wasn't it so obvious that they are lying? Man.
Or you're lying to cover up what happened with the Liberty.
Yeah, that's true. And 9/11.
Partial Act 17 Mirror says, I'm saddened that you didn't answer my question or even really comment on it other than saying I have problems.
Thank you, Partial Act 17.
Hang on. I'm going back because I do not remember what this is in reference to. With the Islamists taking over Syria, do you think Bible... Did I just skip this one? This is earlier. I don't remember reading this. Do you remember me reading this? Did I skip some?
I don't remember this at all. I do not remember this at all.
Well, so I'm guessing I skipped it, but I'm just wondering if I skipped some other ones because normally it shows them in order. I don't know why. Will the Islamists taking over Syria, do you think... Oh, with the Islamists taking over Syria, do you think Bible prophecy may be fulfilled and Damascus become a ruinous heap within the next few years?
Yes.
I do not know. I'm not the best person to ask about biblical prophecy being fulfilled. Because if you ask me, David, what's your interpretation of Revelations? I would simply say Jesus wins. That would be about my level of interpretation.
You're supposed to ask Alex Jones. Man. He knows everything. You're supposed to ask Alex Jones.
Yeah, this is clear. It's clear. And I heard this on great authority from Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes, my great Bible scholar. Yeah, so I don't know. That would be my answer. Mad Liv says, you're committing gendercide. Never changed, he would. What you are doing. Love your work, guys. This Persian Yid thanks you. And we thank you, Persian Yid. Long-term consequences of Mo discredits any concept of Palestinian state with other countries. Who would trade or ally with confirmed liars? Discredits any concept of... Yeah, that is... I wasn't even thinking about that. That's a good point. So these guys are saying, "Hey, we need our country, and we need Israel. But even if we don't get Israel, give us a state." How would you? Who would want to work with any of you? I mean, we've talked before about this giant wall that sits betwixt Gaza and Egypt. There's this big wall there. The Egyptians do not want people from Gaza running into Egypt. The Muslim world does not want people from Gaza. The Muslim world just doesn't want them. So we're aware of that. But imagine you gave them what they want. Said, "Okay, guys, you're your own country now. You can do it." Who's going to? Like, what kind of state would it be? It would still just be a state that's completely dependent on handouts and people bringing in endless trucks of aid. You can't function. You can't function if all you do is terrorize and lie and put out propaganda. You can't function as a state. Who's going to want to do trade or anything else with you? Yes, people can give you handouts because they think, oh, these poor people and stuff. People can give you handouts like they're doing now. But how are you actually going to function as a nation? You can't. And that's on you for being stupid.
And there come the Palestinians, the most pathetic people. It's not me saying it.
That's not him. That's not him, YouTube censor. That was him.
Not me, man.
That was him. Oh, that was him quoting. He was quoting Masab at his Oxford Union debate. Now we have to send this video to the Oxford Union so they can crop me out of what just happened, because that's what they do.
And then some people can shout, "Shame! Shame! Shame!
Sharmut! 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 Sharmut!" Have you heard days ago a Buddhist militia from Myanmar? Thought it was Burma.
Yeah, there.
Took the border with Bangladesh and allegedly land across it. They claim Rohingya Islamists were attacking Hindus and Buddhists. Most details on Indian media.
I saw the headline. I didn't see it. I didn't look at it.
Yeah, that is one of the things you learn if you read Robert Spencer's history of jihad is just how relentless jihad has been over the centuries, but people have no idea beyond what has happened in their lifetimes. They have no idea that this has been going on from the time of Muhammad down to the present. Jihad has never stopped. They have never stopped trying to subjugate you. So we don't have a good grasp of history, but apart from that, we don't have an idea of what's going on in the rest of the world. We just don't. So stuff like this, we don't even hear about. And AP might see something or something because he deals with this regularly. But think about this: if we deal with conflicts between Muslims and Hindus and Buddhists and so on, and we're unfamiliar with these things, what do you think? Just like a regular person, no clue what's going on historically or geographically. Wild stuff. All right, guys, let's go ahead and read the executive summary of this report. Once again, there is a link to the full report if you want to not just go beyond the executive summary and read the entire thing. Here we go. And by the way, for anyone thinking, I don't feel like reading the report, one, it's not terribly long, but two, propaganda takes advantage of people's ignorance, and the solution would be to have enough informed people to refute the propaganda whenever it rises up. So it is a good idea if you've got the time and are wondering about what you can do to fix any of these situations. Learn this stuff and share the link and share screenshots wherever someone is making something up or misrepresenting things. Executive summary. On October 7th, 2023, Hamas militants launched a war on Israel. After Israel launched its military response, media outlets around the world began to report on death tolls in Gaza, frequently citing numbers from the Gaza Ministry of Hell as though it was a fully independent, unbiased source. Yeah, fully independent, unbiased news source controlled by Hamas, who relies almost exclusively on propaganda after terrorism has failed. In reality, the Ministry of Hell, Mo, is under the full control of Hamas. It was established by Hamas in 2007 after it took full control of the Gaza Strip following its violent clashes with the Fatah faction of the Palestinian Authority. Since then, Hamas has managed governmental functions in Gaza, including healthcare services through the Ministry of Hell, the Momo. What are you laughing at? Given that Hamas is a direct party to the conflict, that's funny, they're treating them as an unbiased source. Now, spoiler, given that Hamas is a direct party in the conflict, this creates an obvious conflict of interest. These Ministry of Hell figures have been repeatedly cited by major news organizations throughout this conflict. For example, an April 2024 headline in The Observer stated, Gaza death toll passes 34,000 as Israel and Iran missiles strikes grab global attention. In August 2024, this toll passing 40,000 was the focal point of much of the day's BBC News coverage, as catalogued by the Cohen Report of September 2024. The reporting of these figures has been analyzed by a group of international scholars who meticulously analyzed reports of Gaza war fatalities from February 2024 through May 2024. So, guys, when we're talking about them finding, this 22-year-old's listed as a 4-year-old, this 31-year-old's listed as an infant, and so on, they're just analyzing reports from February to May of this year, going through that, and they're finding problems. They examined 1,378 articles from major English language newspapers and media outlets, specifically the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Guardian, CNN, the BBC, Reuters, the Associated Press, and the Australian ABC. Over that 4-month period, 84% of those publications failed to make the critical distinction in total numbers between combatant deaths and civilian deaths. So they just report it as if they're all just civilian deaths, even though there are tons of combatant casualties there. Only 5% of the surveyed media organizations cited numbers released by the Israeli authorities, while 98% cited fatality figures provided by the Hamas-run Gaza Ministry of Health. Guys, I mean, just think about that. If you were at war with a communist nation and you just rely on the statistics being put out by that communist nation, wouldn't you think you're stupid? I mean, wouldn't you think, like, if the media is just going, okay, well, we have this big thing going on. There's a battle between the United States and the Soviet Union. Let's just go with the Soviet numbers. Like, where else would you do this? Guys, like, how much do you hate Israel if they're at war with a terrorist organization and you only trust information provided by the terrorist organization? Like, how much do you just despise Israel that you would do that? I would not take you seriously as a journalist. I would say you are too biased as a journalist if you completely ignore statistics put out by Israel and you mindlessly accept statistics put out by the Ministry of Propaganda of a terrorist organization. You sound like lunatics. You sound like complete lunatics. Only 5% of the surveyed media organizations cited numbers released by the Israeli authorities, while 98% cited fatality figures provided by the Hamas-run Gaza Ministry of Health. In 19% of media reports examined, numbers provided by Hamas-run institutions were used without citing any source, thereby suggesting those figures were undisputed. Did you catch that, guys? So it's 19%. Yeah. So it's only about a fifth. But what a fifth did is really, really bad. Meaning,
you said Israel.
They gave the numbers, they gave the statistics provided by Hamas and didn't even say that these numbers are provided by Hamas. They just stated the numbers as a fact. So if Hamas says, 40,000 innocent civilians were killed, they simply reported, and we know that 40,000 innocent civilians were killed. They're not even saying, and we got this from the Gaza Ministry of Health, or we got this from Hamas. They're just stating it as fact. Fun stuff. Furthermore, fewer than 1 in every 50 articles, fewer than 1 in every 50 articles mentioned that the figures provided by the Ministry of Health were unverifiable or controversial. So less than 2% ever mention that we cannot confirm these numbers because they're being put out by Hamas itself. Strikingly, the Israeli statistics had their credibility questioned in half of the few articles that incorporated them. Did you catch this, guys? So think about this. The 1 in 5, so 19%, when they're giving Hamas statistics, they don't even mention that they're giving statistics according to Hamas. They just state it as fact. 98% of the media organizations that were examined would cite fatality figures provided by the Gaza Ministry of Health. What else do we have? Only 1 in 50 would say that these are unconfirmed or unverifiable, the numbers put out by Hamas. But when the small, you're talking 5% of people who actually give Israeli statistics, half the time they will put, but we can't trust them because they're Israeli. We can't trust them because the Israeli sources must be biased. This is insane, guys. This is what's required. This is what's required, apparently, to make Israel look bad. You have to do this. It kind of, this is like a global Jussie Smollett situation, right? We're just going to make some stuff up.
Because of things like these, they say, the famous saying goes, Israel, Israel. Yeah.
Wild stuff. This report raises serious concerns that the Gaza Ministry of Health figures have been overstated. The data behind their figures contains natural deaths, deaths from before this conflict began, and deaths of those killed by Hamas itself. It contains no mention of Hamas combatant fatalities, and it overstates the number of women and children killed. Guys, get that one little paragraph down. The numbers that are being reported without question by Western media sources, the numbers that are being provided to them by the Gaza Ministry of Hell. What do we know about these numbers? They're including natural deaths, as if they're people who've been killed by the IDF. They're including deaths from before the conflict even began. stuff that Israel had nothing to do with. They're including those as civilian casualties caused by the IDF, and the deaths of those killed by Hamas itself. So Hamas fires a rocket, they hit misfires, ends up in a local neighborhood. They include that as an IDF attack. And the numbers provided by the Gaza Ministry of Hell do not distinguish between civilians and combatants. And so it all gets lumped together as civilians. And it's overstating the number of women and children killed by listing men as women and adults as children. And the media are simply repeating this nonsense. Serious errors have been discovered on the ministry's list of fatalities. These errors include a 22-year-old registered as a 4-year-old, a 31-year-old registered as a 1-year-old, and several men with male first names registered as female, artificially increasing the numbers of women and children reported killed. The lists also include people who died before the war and people who died from attacks by Hamas rather than the Israel Defense Forces. They likely include around 5,000 natural deaths per year, including cancer patients who were listed by the ministry for hospital treatment after they had already appeared on fatality lists. Hamas also claimed hundreds of fatalities from attacks, which turned out to be misfired rocket launches by Gaza factions. Hundreds of fatalities from attacks, which turned out to be misfired rocket launches. It is indisputable that natural deaths which occur in times of peace would also occur during a war. The pre-war rate of natural deaths in Gaza is known from relevant mortality data presented by the Palestinian Central Bureau of Statistics based in Ramallah in the West Bank. Media reports claiming totals killed in Gaza by IDF action have not verified the figures cited and fail to account for the deaths of upwards of 17,000 Hamas and affiliated combatants as part of that toll. So the media still aren't including how many of the people who died were combatants. The report also shows that the methodology of data collection by the Ministry of Hell is not scientifically valid, and that its reports from previous conflicts have also concealed combatant deaths. Do you see that? So saying it's not just now, it's from their previous conflicts. They've always been doing this. They've always been not telling you how many of the people who died were combatants. The fatality analysis recognizes the immense toll of the war on Palestinians in Gaza. Even as fatalities are discussed as quantifiable numbers, it is important to remember that innocent people are suffering, and each number represents a human life. Many of those lives were innocent people caught in the middle of a brutal war started by Hamas on October 7th. The suffering, death, and destruction are very real for actual human beings. An understanding of the Gaza fatality data is critical in understanding the conduct of the war by the Israel Defense Forces and the state of Israel's leadership. International humanitarian law does not require that no harm happen to civilians. Rather, it demands that parties to war use their best efforts to mitigate harm to civilians. So what are you supposed to do? If you're in a war, it's understood that civilians are going to die as collateral damage. You are supposed to try to avoid civilian casualties as much as you can. All parties to a war are required to adhere to certain rules of war. As the United Nations frequently posits, even war has rules. That's true. When one party in a war disregards the rules, the consequences do not convict the other party or prevent them from prosecuting the war. What this is saying is, if you have two groups in a war, in this case, Israel and Hamas, and one of them does not follow the rules, so Hamas does not follow the rules. They try to maximize civilian casualties while you're trying to minimize them. And if they kill a bunch of your people, take a bunch of hostages, and then run and hide beneath a bunch of civilians and use a bunch of civilians as shields, the fact that they're doing this does not mean that you can't go after them because you're going to kill civilians in the process. So the fact that they're not going by the rules does not mean that you're wrong for going after them. What are you saying?
You know what? You just mentioned misfired rockets. Some people might remember that immediately in October 2023, there was an instance when so a week after, or 10 days or so after the October 7th attack, there was an explosion at a hospital in Gaza, the Al Ahli Arab Hospital, which was run by Christians apparently, and there was an explosion. As soon as the explosion happened, within minutes, Hamas reported that 500 people were killed in the explosion. They said that this was an Israeli airstrike. This was at night. Daytime came, and it was revealed that the hospital was completely was intact. It didn't explode in an airstrike. There was no airstrike. It was apparently an explosion in the parking lot. It was not an airstrike. It cannot have been an airstrike. So the most likely explanation was that it was a misfired rocket from Palestinian militant groups, Hamas or Palestinian Islamic Jihad. Then Israel even presented evidence of internal communication acknowledging that it was a misfired rocket. However, then others came in and said, no, it was not misfired. It was probably from Israel and so on. Others severely, significantly inflated the number of deaths. But Hamas stuck with 470 deaths or something like that. And to this day, they promised the next day or so that they will provide evidence that it wasn't them, that it was actually Israel. To this day, they have not provided any single evidence. They have also not revealed the names of those killed. They still maintain, however, that 470 people died that day, despite the fact that much of the evidence points at them misfiring a rocket and thereby causing a massive explosion in the parking lot. And they will include those deaths into the total number of deaths in this war caused by Israel. This is just one example where you can clearly see that the Hamas side is repeatedly lying and even blaming their own accidents and friendly fire on Israel.
And they have pretty sloppy weapons frequently, because they have to make they use like pipes and stuff to make their own launchers and stuff. So you get misfires quite a bit. What happens? You're in a neighborhood, you misfire a rocket, it blows up part of the neighborhood. What do? You see what the IDF did? They targeted this innocent. And is the Hamas-controlled Gaza Ministry of Health going to question you? Going to question what Hamas orders them to report? No. This is the reality. And it's completely understandable that Hamas would do this. It's not understandable that Western journalists would simply report the nonsense without question. That's just stupid. All right, let's go ahead and this is the end of the executive summary here. Global media outlets have, understandably, focused on the number of deaths in Gaza as a lens of critique of Israeli operations. Many media outlets give the proviso that the Gaza Ministry of Health is Hamas-run, but few give the same level of attention to IDF reports or the numbers of fighters killed as part of the overall Israeli fatality total. Nor do media outlets give the methodology, reporting, or content of the lists of names the scrutiny they deserve. So this is pointing out the obvious, namely, if Hamas says, here's a list of people who've been killed, you might want to take a closer look at it. You might just want to check out the lists. You might want to do a little investigating before simply reporting. Because what did these guys do? They said, okay, here's a list of names of people who died in such and such an attack. And they go through the names and like, wait a minute, why is this like the cancer? Why are these guys a bunch of cancer patients and so on? That were listed as stage 4 cancer before the war began. We're starting to wonder if these guys, we're starting to think that you're just listing anyone who dies or anyone who's sick or something like that as people who were killed by the IDF.
No, obviously they had cancer and they were about to die, but then Israel wouldn't allow them to die.
They shot them with sniper rifles and killed them. They just went in there and attacked them. They said, ha, you can't even run. We will not let you die. We will not let you die peacefully. We will kill you because we are Jews. Allahu Akbar.
A definitive figure of fatalities is impossible due to the lack of transparency. Wait, think about this. Why is a definitive figure of fatalities impossible? Due to the lack of transparency from the Ministry of Hell, a general lack of access to the Palestinian Population Registry, and the challenges of counting militants killed in combat. However, this report finds numerous errors that cannot be explained by a lack of access to the Ministry of Hell computer network that went offline in November 2023. We have identified distortions of statistics, misreporting of natural deaths, deaths from before the war started, and a high likelihood of combatant deaths being included on the list. This report, and keep in mind, guys, they only examined something from a few months. They only examined their stuff for a few month period. This report also challenges the assumption that Ministry of Hell fatality reports from previous conflicts are reliable, and reveals evidence of efforts to hide militant fatalities. We also identify critical differences in the demographic breakdowns reported by the Ministry of Hell and the Hamas government media office. So once again, guys, that's the summary. That's the summary of their findings. The link's in the description box, but they go into much more detail and actually show where they're getting this information from.
I mean, why would you trust an organization called Ministry of Hell to begin with? It's just ridiculous.
I wouldn't. Like if they said, "Hey, here's our statistics that we've assembled for you Western journalists, and this has the stamp of approval of our Hamas terrorist overlords. We are the Ministry of Hell, run by Satan. Believe what we say."
Oh, well, they sound very credible. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Me and AP we'd be like, how about no?
I don't buy your hell.
All right, guys. So you put all that together. And seriously, guys, what these guys did is they just provided a bit of confirmation for something that any of us would have known all along, right? Like if you're just looking at numbers, and if Hamas puts out numbers, you say, okay, I understand there are a lot of casualties and so on. I do not trust your number until that number is backed up by something that's independent. I'm not going to just blindly trust your number, because you guys are like kings of propaganda. It's all you do. It's all you do. All you guys do is propaganda. So this simply confirms what we've already known, but it does feel good always being right. Oh, trust me. All right, let's take these last couple super chats and we'll probably be out. When will the Turk upload footage from his visit to the Nakba Museum? What is he scared of? Good point.
Gotta ask the Turk. I don't know why.
Yeah, you have all this footage. What did you do with it? You recorded all kinds of stuff. What did you do with it?
That's a good question.
It's a very good question. How much footage do you have that you've never released?
5.
You dead name the Palestinians. Normal is overrated says, number of deaths as reported by Hamas? Brother, I have doubts. What doubts, man? Based Autistic says, just tuned in. Have you guys seen the full extent Oxford has hidden from their videos? I've been using a dead horse argument at this point, but just replace Jew with black and see how people react. Yeah, so the other day on my channel, we went through Mossab's speech to show how they cropped the most relevant part, where basically the entire place would have been blasted, because he asked them, if you didn't see it, he asked the crowd, the Oxford Union, this debate society, he asked them, if you knew what was about to happen, so if you go back in time, if you knew what was about to happen on October 7th, would you have warned the authorities that this attack was coming? Over 95% said no, they would not. Okay, that tells you a lot about them. But they were showing by show of hands which side they were on. And Oxford Union took an extra 10 days to release that presentation, all so that they could crop out the audience and not show not show what people admitted, what the audience admitted. So we focused on that, but after that, people were in the comment section saying, "Dude, you don't even know." Just they said compare that video with the audio, because there was the guy who just recorded stuff on his phone, said they were cutting out all sorts of stuff, and that they were doing with several of the presentations. And then they released the video of the guy Miko or whatever, who said that the Hamas guys who attacked Israel on October 7th were heroes. They cut out that part, but they cut out a bunch of stuff from him too. So these guys are just like editing left and right to cover. I mean, this is a debate society. This is a debate society that believes in in speech. It's the last bastion of free speech in the world. And what are they doing? They're censoring stuff left and right to cover up how corrupt and evil their own people are.
That is literally what their Twitter bio says: the last bastion of free speech.
The last bastion of free speech, controlled by people who support Hamas and are deciding Islam ruins everything it touches. By the way, Apostate should be up tomorrow. You're in a video because you were the one who asked Alex O'Connor the question, and then you brought it up to us, and we commented on it. And then I had some additional thoughts, because not everyone was pleased with our responses. So wanted to expand some thoughts on whether the accusation is, I don't mean from you, I mean from people who rejected what we said, is basically Alex is a coward if he's not going after Islam. So I do want to respond to that, because we tend to like Alex. But anyway, you're gonna appear in a video based autistic. I think both of you would be interested in knowing more about the Lebanese forces and their history. A lot of misinformation about them comes from non-Lebanese that don't know much about them. Not terribly interested in Lebanese forces right now.
What? Why not?
There's too much stuff going on in Syria. And the Lebanese is not in Lebanon.
Lebanese forces is actually a Christian militia or Christian party or Christian organization.
Oh, okay. I just thought you meant in general Lebanese forces.
No, that was part of the civil war, and that is still active. They are Christian. They represented the Christian side of the conflict. They also worked together with Israel at stages of the civil war against the Islamist organizations and so on. But yeah, probably something to look into.
Yeah, I'll do that when Lebanon becomes a big issue again. Right now, it's all about Syria, but it will come back to Lebanon. What?
They were accused of committing genocide against the Shia Muslims in collaboration with Israel decades ago. You're being credibly accused of genocide against all the trans Mohammeds in Gaza. By you dead named all of them. Shame on you. David, you see, this report has been corrupted by the Jews, all because of the Schofield Bible. This is the proof. Yeah, you know what sucks? After some idiot sees a video like that on the Dean show about the Schofield Bible, now I get comments, David, you just support the Jews because of the Schofield Bible, and I have to actually respond to that idiotic nonsense.
You see, even St. Paul read the Schofield Bible. That's why he said all those things.
Pepperidge Farm remembers the hospital. That's true. HMS before. Allahu Akbar! HMS after. Poor children. Hamas. Yes, Allahu Akbar! All the poor children. That is what they do. But guys, that's built into it. Take any Dawa guy. Yes, we're going to take over the world and subjugate you. And anytime something doesn't go wrong, help! I'm being oppressed. Help! I'm being oppressed. Why won't anyone run to my aid?
Please help me, please.
When the death ray evaporation gun is set to the stun setting, it just gives you cancer instead. Hence the statistical anomalies. That'll be their new thing. Of course they're cancer patients. The Jews have their cancer ray. The Jews have their cancer ray and their evaporator ray. we actually need to. It's like Mega Mind. He had his gun and he could switch the setting. It would be like dehydration ray and all this stuff. But you need the Jews have something like that. It's like, oh, let me go to evaporation. No cancer. No.
That's fun.
We should build one of those. It's not just about numbers. In the PA, there's a filming industry where kids have to participate in exhibits, play dead, use red paint, etc. You call that the filming industry. We call that Gaza wood, Pally wood. They call it all kinds of things.
That's pretty racist.
Full report, please. All I need is the abstract. Have you learned nothing from Daniel Hakikachu? Hakikachu, he wouldn't even have read the executive summary like we just did. He would have read the title and then based all sorts of lies on the title. That's how he rolls. That's how he rolls. Welcome to Dawa. And jihadists in Syria going to attack Hezbollah in Lebanon. Hey, I hadn't thought of that. I mean, I wouldn't think they want to do it right now, because right now, if you've just managed to take Syria, you probably want to hold on to what you got for a little while and build up your forces. But that actually makes sense. They really, really don't like Hezbollah, because Hezbollah has killed a lot of them in the Syrian war. In other words, guys, you had Assad, and Assad would say, hey, Syria, hey, Iran, I need help defeating these guys. Hey, Russia. And Russia and Iran and Hezbollah would help them. The thing is about these Syrian jihadis, there's nothing they can do to Russia. They can't do it. They can't do that. They can't even get to Iran. They're not even going to be able to get to Iran. Not in any sort of short term. They could get to Hezbollah in Lebanon if they wanted to go there. I would not do that instantly, but I would not put it past them to do that here in the next couple of years or so. But I wasn't thinking about that. But yeah, definitely possible. Those jihadis, one, they want to expand. They want to take over all of greater Syria. But two, they really, really don't like Hezbollah. Matter of fact, I guarantee not all of them, but a lot of them hate Hezbollah more than they hate Israel. Because it was Hezbollah that was killing them. It was Hezbollah that was stopping them. It was Hezbollah that was Hezbollah. In other words, they have personal grievances with Hezbollah.
They really do hate Hezbollah, and they would probably look forward to the chance of taking revenge and eradicating Hezbollah, and in fact, eradicating the Shia groups altogether.
AP, are you familiar with this?
Yes.
Never forget the destruction of Royal Navy Defense Submarine, HMSP 514, by Royal Canadian Navy minesweeper HMCS Georgian, unaliving the crew. So what is this? The Canadian Navy destroyed a Royal Navy defense submarine? If that had been Israel, it would still be used. You see, the Jews, they wanted to kill.
There were Jews behind it. Israel was behind it.
It would still be used. But I guess the point here, Philip, because I'm not familiar with this, I guess the point is that people probably don't do that if you're talking about Canadians, right? But if it were Jews, yeah, they would still be brought up. It would still be brought up.
Sounds like a parody of that.
Definitely does.
Candace Owens would make a whole show about this and go, oh my gosh, guys, I literally found out today that actually that Israel was behind this thing that happened, and I also have somebody with me who was there and who can be 100% trusted and who is going to tell us everything about it now. OMG, guys, 4 million views, bunch of imbeciles watching.
Awesome stuff. That AP, that's why you got to blow up, man. That's why you got to do all kinds of awesome interviews and blow up so that you too can get 4 million views to expose whenever she says something stupid, you also
say something stupid.
Yeah. No, your goal should be to say something even stupider to get even more views. It's a requirement.
Then I should invite Stupider to say something stupider.
Steph with a super sticker of a dog shaking its hips, saying thank you. Thank you, Steph S. And finally here, you mean that the rapist murdering abducting death cultists would lie about anything? I know, it's hard to believe. Who'd have thunk? Who'd have thunk it? Who'd have thunk that the same guys who go under, through, and under a fence to target as many men, women, and child civilians as they can, torture, rape, all that stuff. Who'd have thunk that those guys who rely almost exclusively on propaganda after they've been defeated militarily, who'd have thunk that they may not be completely honest in their reporting of statistics? That is their primary means of turning people against their enemy.
Oh my gosh, guys! I literally found out today that Hamas, the Gaza Health Ministry, actually didn't tell us the truth. They lied to us all along. And guess what, guys? Guess what? They did that because they were instructed by Israel to do this. By Israel, which is run by Frankists who are taking a bunch of unidentified, specifically Christian children in Gaza in order to then sacrifice them to their gods and use them in baking matzah and then pretending to be Jewish so that we can then be accused of being anti-Semitic. But literally, that is like what Israel is doing. And I'm serious, guys. Like, my mind is absolutely blown. OMG.
And that's how it goes. So people are a little slow. Hopefully they catch on. Minds blown. Ladies and gentlemen, minds are being blown here. Reality no longer makes any sense. If you can't trust Hamas, who can you trust? That's all we're saying. If you can't trust the Hamas-run Ministry of Hell, what's the point of anything we're doing? We can't know anything.
OMG, guys, I just found out that Hamas is run by Frankists.
Oh, we do have this comment from GoatHub. To be fair, many Muslims think children are adults, so it makes sense that they would be confused. Yeah, we get them confusing children with adults. That's because they're prophet and they have to defend him. But why are they confusing so many adults with children? That's because, keep in mind, when they're reporting this stuff, oh look, so they're reporting a 22-year-old. Let's suppose they say this 25-year-old is a 9-year-old, and they say you killed a child. That's not a child according to you. According to you, the 9-year-old is an adult. So why are you reporting any of them? According to Daniel Hakikachu, it wouldn't matter if someone is 4. Someone's 4. You're an adult, according to this idiot. So why are you reporting any of these deaths as child deaths? They're all fully grown adults in Islam. And
oh my gosh, guys, there's this one Muslim named Daniel Hakikachu, and he has been saying forever that it's okay to have sexual intercourse with kids. And guess what? Guess what? He was just pretending to do this in the name of Islam. He was actually instructed by Israel, which is run by the Frankists. And when you say something about this is very dangerous, but I'm very brave, so I speak out against Israel all the time, guys. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and buy my mugs on which I say Christ is King, because that's what I represent, guys. Always the truth.
So, guys, in other words, if a 9-year-old is old enough to get banged by a Dawa clown, why isn't that 9-year-old old enough to get banged by a rocket?
That's true. That's true.
Keep in mind, we're not saying we agree with the reasoning here. We're just questioning their reasoning. Oh, look, the child. What about the child? You guys bang those and you say they're not child. They're not children. The heck's wrong with you? I don't know.
Yeah. Especially if Israel is behind it.
Shocked, I tell you. Of course, we're all shocked. Everyone's shocked. And finally here, who authorized you to speak on statistics in Gaza? That is the question. The only ones who are authorized to speak on statistics in Gaza is the Hamas-run Ministry of Hell. The only ones that can be trusted. No one else is reliable. All right, guys. I'm on...
You are?
I'll be on Cameron's channel, Capturing Christianity, tomorrow. He wants to look at the debate between Alex O'Connor and whoever his partner was, I don't know who that was, and the Connectly duo. That's father and son, Cliff and his son. They had a debate on something like the existence of God or something like that. Anyway, I guess we're going to be going through some of that tomorrow on Capturing Christianity.
Stuart Knechtle and Cliff Knechtle.
And we'll keep you all updated. Should have a video out tomorrow. Got a couple good videos coming out this week. You don't want to miss them because they will be dope. All right, everyone. So again, links to the sources we went through are in the description box for your further reading. I recommend familiarizing yourself with some of this information so that you can correct even the media when they post something and aren't clear, or they're posting messed up figures or something like that. They will keep doing that until enough people are calling them out. Then they will have to correct course. They don't have to correct course as long as people just fall for any idiotic nonsense they say. So this all comes down to us. Learn something and share it everywhere.
Oh my gosh, guys! Especially if you trust the Frankists who run Israel, guys. OMG!
Everything AP is making fun of right now, that could all be fixed if you just had enough people who know some basic factual information to correct this stuff. The people who go around misrepresenting and twisting everything, they do it because there's enough gullible people. All right.
What the people?
On that good, positive note, catch you all next time.